Hey, how are you?
Welcome to Eagle Talk, y'all. We are back at it.
That's right. The Green Blazer is in the room.
Listen, Green Blazer is in the room. I feel like somebody auntie with my blazer. Listen, if you are listening on the podcast platform, my husband is talking about my Kelly Green Blazer. But let me just quick story, y'all.
Okay.
So my friend Kim, who is actually our director of operations, she's actually going to be on the podcast next week when we talk about who you need in your business. So be sure to check that out. But she and I went and got our colors done a couple of months ago to find out what colors look best on us. And this green isn't quite my green that look good on me, but I still want to wear it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
But no, seriously, y'all, House of Color is the name of the company. And what they do is like they take you ever seen something, and it really works, where like you're out and everybody's like, oh, that color look real good on you. But then something else, people never tell you that. It's because you are not in your color. So
is it for ladies and gentlemen?
It is for you should do it, because I low-key, I'm gonna try to guess what color you are another day.
Okay.
But I should do that for you for Christmas.
Yeah, I know my colors, by the way.
No, you don't. But anywho, what's been up with you? I gave my House of Color story.
Oh man, hanging in there. I am studying, man. I'm studying. End of the year. It's coming together real good. I'm doing a small pivot. Me and you watched, ironically, because you never watch it with me, a video last night of a 20-year-old couple out of St. Louis, now in Las Vegas, making $1 million a month doing Airbnbs. Yeah. So I've been doing some really good studying and gaining some information on that. So that's what I'm involved with right now. Yeah,
well, there's that. So y'all, there's so much opportunity. One thing that the couple said that I love, because they literally are 20 years old making, a lot of money. And it's not just about making money, but what they have figured out is that anything that you want to know about, we live in a day and age where we have access to information.
They did say that.
So it just grinds my gear. Like, I spoke at an event a couple of weeks ago, and I can't remember what I referenced, but I said something about getting in the room, getting in different masterminds. And this girl walked up to me at the end, like, well, how do you find out about these masterminds? I was like, Google.
Yeah.
You have to. There are so many resources that we have to get us to the next level. So
one good resource that I have our team use is the Meetup app. If anybody's never heard of it, just download Meetup on your phone, and it's showing you all the events in your area regarding whatever subject you're searching for. Yeah,
we just talked about the power of networking and connecting on episode 81 with Johnny Collins.
Great episode.
So make sure you check that out if not.
Yeah.
But today, we're going to dig deep, y'all.
I got my hat on, got my dark glasses on, because it's about to be a moment here.
Listen, so Corey, we had a pep talk before we started this podcast, because we are actually going to get a little, we always are honest, but we're going to get a little honest and vulnerable and just really let y'all know how tough the last recession was for our family, for our marriage, but what was birthed out of that.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do this episode because at the time we're recording this podcast, they haven't announced it, but I know we are all feeling the pain of inflation, of rising interest rates, of stock market,
upcoming recession.
Yeah, so it feels a lot like a recession, even though these folks hadn't said it yet. But that's what it feels a lot like right now. And we understand that a lot of business owners are worried. You're worried about, are you going to be able to sustain, and not even business owners. A lot of people are worried because there are layoffs and there are a lot of things that are going on. So the first thing we want to say is that you, as of right now, have survived 100% of your bad days.
Yeah.
And you will survive this. And we just want to share some light on what the last recession looked like for us and how we're going into the next one.
Yeah, so going into the last recession, 0809, I was flipping houses. I had about 4 or 5 rentals that I sold, bought them really young, didn't have the respect of my tenants, paying late and so on and so forth. So I met a guy who taught me how to flip. And up until the recession happened, I was doing very, very well.
Yeah.
Market wound up crashing. I got down to my last couple dollars. Met a mentor and opened up a barber school September 1st, 2009, literally in the middle of a recession. And I remember to this day, I had a soft grand opening And I had a family member come out there and tell me that barber schools don't make no money. And my mentor was making like $7,000 to $8,000 a week.
Yeah.
And I went there for my license and my my instructor's license. So I saw it wasn't nothing that he was telling me.
Yeah.
Right. I saw every single haircut. I saw the business. And when he told me that barber schools didn't make no money, I was like, okay. Are you hating because you don't understand the industry, or are you hating because you're not involved?
Yeah.
Like as a partner.
Yeah.
Long story short, wound up doing the build out, plumbing, setting up the stations, getting everything ready to go. And I thought it would have took 30, maybe 60 days for the state to come out and approve me. Well, it took about 13 or 14 months.
Yeah.
And in that time, I just had a lot of downs. I won't even say ups. I had a lot of downs. I remember in the school that I went to in Richmond Park was 98% African American. So my very first haircut was a guy 2 doors down that owned the tire shop. And I don't know his nationality, but he wasn't. His
hair was straight. He had a different hair texture than you ever cut.
And I butchered it. He wasn't happy with the haircut. I didn't know what to do because I had never cut it straight hair. And that was my introduction into the barber game. It was just a head I had never cut before. So moving forward, I did get open September 1st.
Wait, hold on. Can I back up for you for a second, baby?
Sure.
All right. Because Corey is giving the story like, so like, yeah, I was down on my last couple dollars. And
go ahead and hit on all the embarrassing points you want to hit on. It's fine.
But it's not embarrassing, but it is. I think that there is so much truth. Whether they say people are saved by the word of your testimony. And I know that a lot of times like people go through things and sometimes we don't want to relive it, or we lived it and we're so far removed from it, we forget how critical it is. So y'all, let me paint the picture for y'all right quick. Okay. So Corey and I, we met and when we were 15 years, well, I was 15, you were 17.
Yep.
But we didn't get married until right before my 26th birthday. Right. Okay. So that whole time, Corey was a baller. Like
ballin'.
And I like, let me just be honest about the super, like back in the 90s, 2000s, you just want a baller, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, he had a great heart and obviously there was purpose to our life, but you could have told me a lot of things would have happened to us, but struggling financially was not something that I just would have thought we would be in that situation. And not just on him, on me too. Yeah. So we finally get married, and when we get married, look, did I still shade when I said finally? Was that shady?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Well, it took you a while to make sure. Yeah. But when we get married, y'all, it seemed like the first 6 months we were Gucci. Yeah. Right. We got married in 2006. I was doing real estate part-time, really didn't want to do it, but I was doing it to help Corey's business. And, at that time, I say this all the time, the relationship that we have today, it was much different than the relationship we had then. We've always loved each other, but knowing how to communicate, knowing how to be honest, all these combining bank accounts, all these different things you're supposed to do when you get married, we just did not do that well, even before you get married. So when the market started shifting, I think that out of protection, you were not very, it wasn't a comfortable conversation, nor was I a receptive party.
Let me stop you there.
Okay.
I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing at all.
Yeah, he didn't say nothing, right? So the properties that he got are at a you know how it is, like when you owe the banks and the creditors and they be calling, like we in the bed and the phone ring, don't answer that, it's all good. Right. And I'm like, okay, is it a chick? Is it and whatever. And I don't even think, honestly, Corey, I don't even know if iPhones were out then.
I don't know if they were out either, but I kept my head down. So let me speak the story up because I don't want to.
Well, no, don't speak all the way up because look, don't y'all love a good story? Okay, so in that, there was just a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
And we had just bought a house. You know, we had little side hustles. And even though Corey, oh, y'all got to check out the episode. We will tag it in the show notes where we said entrepreneurship is not a straight path. And we talked about all of the things we did before we landed and secured our lives in real estate.
You said we had a little side hustle. We had a great side hustle.
Okay. So the side hustle was selling purses.
Yeah. Can I explain it?
Go ahead.
I would fly to New York on the 605 every Tuesday morning, get off the plane about 8. I had a driver waiting on me in a Suburban Ray at the time.
You still proud of this?
Yeah, this was because I mean we always talk about pivot, right?
Yeah.
So I saw it coming. I just didn't know we was going to get hit this hard.
Yeah.
So I would get off the plane, go to Chinatown, get about 150 purses real quick, load them up in the truck. Go get some Chinese food, jump back on the plane at 4:30. I'll be back home by like 7:30.
Yeah, and then we would have purse parties.
We would have purse parties.
Like y'all remember purse
Friday,
parties?
yeah.
Yes, I mean we did all the stuff. So Corey had convinced me that, you know what, worst case scenario, we making X amount in purses, we gonna be all right. I'm like, okay. We were not all right. We were not all right because it was a recession. So people stopped spending money even on purses and stuff like that.
Right.
So he was trying a couple things, not really. And I'm not even going to say you just didn't tell me. I was not a welcoming ear, right? I was not a safe space.
What I did decide to share, you wasn't even receptive.
I was not receptive, right? And he tried his hand at a couple different things. You went to Florida to try to be a loan officer, back and forth. And then when you got back, ironically, you met the person at the barber college, but you were kind of a little bit in a slump because everything that had been working was no longer working. And it wasn't because you weren't trying. And that's something that was one of the biggest things in marriage that I learned early on, because sometimes we want to point the finger and say you cheated or you messed up the money or you did this, but I couldn't even blame you that the country, you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't blame you, but I was still overwhelmed and frustrated because our finance, like we were in danger of losing our home at that time.
Well, I mean, full disclosure, back then, all of the things that I had tried, and when, they would work for a while and then not work, I just fell into a depression, right? Because I had so much pressure. And then even with the school, with it not opening up right away, your thing was still just go back and work for your family.
Yeah. And this is even before the school.
Yeah.
So yes, you have fallen into a little bit of a slump, a depression. Now I am the breadwinner on my little teaching salary, right? And we are struggling to make ends meet. And you come home one day like, oh, I got it. I'm like, okay, what you got? Come on, what you got?
I said, I'm gonna open up a barber college.
And I was like, I have never even seen you brush your hair, like let alone cut hair. Like,
that's true.
Well, you might as well have came to him and said, you know what, I'm going to clown school, because that's like how passionate I was about the fact that this just sounded so left field. Okay. But you saw the vision.
Yeah, I saw I did, but and shout out to mentors, right? Because that's who saw the vision, and his exact words to me was to open up a school in a dry area. Yeah. And the dry area to him was obviously where there wasn't a school. You're filling a void for the area. And luckily, where I opened up the school in Joliet, Illinois, this was 2009, there hadn't been a school there since 92. Yeah. So I know
there was a need.
Yeah. Me, you, and him got in the car, found a location. It was a for rent sign in the window.
We didn't find a location.
We didn't?
Me, you, and him got in a car for you to show us the location that you were thinking about.
Oh yeah, I had picked the location.
Yeah, and you had actually already signed for the location, but you didn't tell me.
I got a bad memory. Yeah. Some stuff I don't remember, but that is true.
I thought we were gonna go look at it. Yeah. Which I was like, I hate it. And you were like, well, I got it. Yeah. Like, you got it, and I couldn't jump off because he was in the car with us.
Yeah. Okay. So that's actually how it happened. Because when I found it, I called my landlord, and he's a snowbird. He had a house. He still has a house in Tampa, and that's where he was. And he was like, "Well, I'm not there to show it to you." So I just kind of looked through the window, and it was just an open spot. And he on the building next door. He faxed over a lease next door.
Faxed over a lease.
He did, and I committed for 2 years for
I think it was like $1,400 a month to start.
In the beginning, and then I got the other side of the building.
Yeah, but in the beginning it was like
$2,100.
Right. So y'all, I'll picture this. Go.
So pretty much, I committed to about $50,000 a year for 2 years with no income.
With no income, and like, let's just say at the time our mortgage was $2,500.
Yeah,
we maybe had $2,603 in the bank, and Corey took the money out of the bank and paid the lease and the security deposit.
Yeah, I did. But let me tell you this, and these are scars, right?
They're not scars. That's what we smile and talk about it because. But then,
I mean, we always talk about the importance of betting on yourself, right? And sometimes in life, you just know when something's going to work.
Yeah.
Recession or not, and the way I now being in the business almost 14 years, I knew that if you lost your job, you needed to be groomed.
Yeah.
If you were working, you needed to be groomed. And here we were in the middle of a recession. So this business, no different than the cosmetology industry or a nail tech or something like that, right? It's quote unquote recession proof.
Yeah. And
I wasn't opening my door saying, hey y'all, come get this $30 haircut.
Yeah.
It was come get this $8 haircut.
Yeah. So you even you took something that people needed. Like, we knew that you would go and get groomed, but how can I offer it at an affordable price?
Absolutely.
And not only do I get to have the revenue from the haircuts, but also it's a school, so you get to collect tuition 100%, from the students.
Yeah, because the legally in the state of Illinois, the students cannot get paid for haircuts. They can only get paid tips. So your tuition and your haircut money is all of the schools. But outside of all of that, like, I didn't have to figure that out because it was modeled to me.
Yeah,
I had somebody that I was seeing making $28,000-$30,000 a month, and all I needed to do literally was duplicate his system.
Yeah, and he gave it to us.
He gave it to us.
So this is the thing. So I was actually having a conversation with a young lady yesterday, and she said that sometimes she feels like that person that's on the roof stranded, right, where there's a flood, and the person's like, you know what, God is going to save me. And then a helicopter come. They're like, nope, God going to save me. Then a boat come. They're like, nope, God going to save me. Then a bird come. They're like, nope, God going to save me.
Yeah.
And then they die and then go to heaven. And then like, God, why didn't you save me? He's like, well, I sent a helicopter, a boat, and a bird.
Yeah.
And you didn't pick up on that. And I can fully 100% like with certainty say, if I was in that position with you, because the blessing came in a form that I wasn't expecting, I would have missed it. Yeah. Right. Or the opportunity came in a form. So I want to back up though, just a little bit to talk about your mindset. And then we're going to talk about how your mindset then contributed to where I was. Sure. We were in we had hit the bottom, or what felt like the bottom. We know
we were on the bottom.
Well, financially, it was the bottom.
Well, it was also sitting in an empty barber shop because it wasn't yet a school.
Yeah.
And that I'm sitting there watching Netflix every day because I wasn't open and I wasn't cutting hair.
Yeah.
And continue to pay a rent and a light bill and a gas bill. Or do I take the little bit of money I have left and go pay my mortgage and the light bill and the gas bill on my family staying? So we were at the bottom with.
We were at the financially it was the bottom, but we had a lot of soul searching. I think that's when we both really got connected with the Lord. Yeah, because it's something about struggle that puts you into your Bible. But now we know not to just go to our Bible in struggle situations. Yeah. But what was your mindset like when, because you were like, I was not supportive, and I tell people that all the time. They don't believe it because they see the version of us now. But what was your mindset like to say, you know what, this is going to work? Because I think that we are in a situation now where it's heavy. The world is heavy for a lot of people. Even in our businesses that they're doing well, we're thinking of how are we pivoting? How are we, what are we mindset are we taking into this recession that we didn't take into the other one? At least I didn't. Mm-hmm. But I think that you had a savvy and a thought, your train of thought allowed you to keep pushing when you messed up the dude's haircut or when you had to borrow money for the build out. Like, what was your mindset like to keep going in those super tough times, knowing you had a family to support?
if I can be honest with you and everybody else, I'm from a mindset of I either lose or I learn, right? And if I lost, that would be okay because I had a job that I could go back to, which that wasn't an option, but it's like, at least if I need to keep my house, my uncle's not going to tell me no on coming back, right? Or if I go out here and just eagle it alone, because that was my mentor's whole mindset, right? Us eagles, a lot of times we just gotta fly alone and just do what we do. What could happen? Yeah. And again, it goes back to something that I posted yesterday, which is talking about the price of winning, right? People talk about the price of winning being so high, and then they talk about the price of regret being a whole lot higher than the price of winning, right? So it was just kind of like, if you see somebody just from where you from, and keep in mind, I mean, this just going back to who he is, he started cutting hair in the projects. Yeah. And he gave me stories on how my mentor. Yeah. He would run an extension cord from the projects to the basketball, where people were playing basketball, and he would cut hair while people were sitting on the sideline waiting on him to play next. And he's like, my thinking is, there's 30 people out here. I ain't got to play no basketball. I can sit here and get $10 a cut for 6-7 hours. Well, that allowed him to open up a barbershop, to 2 shops, to allow him to open up a school. So I'm thinking like, well, I'm not from the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yeah, we all from the South Side, but if he could make that work, with what can I make what work? He had, right? So it's just kind of like, and I'm physically seeing him personally cut hair every day, but also personally have 15 people cut hair around him, and this is all his revenue. Yeah. So again, my thinking was just do what's being modeled for you.
So how did you tune out the negativity, and whether that be negativity from others, like your family member that came in, from your wife at that time, or even negativity just like the climate? Like if you turned on the news back then, it was like dismal. It was like, ooh.
To be honest with you, if the only person that would probably know this more about you is I was an introvert. Yeah. Right. So I was always to myself. So even a lot of negative stuff that was being said didn't even get to me because I wasn't talking to nobody. Right. Only person I was talking to sometimes with you, but it was mainly him. Yeah. And his thing was,
so you continue to go back to get that encouragement from him. Yeah. And I remember that now. I remember you being on the ride home saying, hey, I'm on the phone with my mentor. I have to give you a call back. And you would continually talk to him to help renew your mind.
Yeah, because he taught me a lot about numbers, right? And not about, and at this time, it wasn't about what you did for the month, right? It was a day. Like, what did you make today? What did you make for the week? What, how many new students did you get? How are you, how many new customers came in and stuff like that? Because again, this is $8 a haircut, right? 10 people is $80. So you got a lot of hairs to cut.
to get to $30,000 a month.
Yeah. So and for disclosure, I was 2-3 months in, and I was still wondering if I can make it work. Yeah. And then I got a pop. And you remember the pop. I remember the pop. The pop was, my tuition at the time was $6,000, and I had a girl come in the door and paid it in full, 100%. Yeah. And at that time, we would get like, somebody would put like $1,000 down, they pay $200 something a month. Well, so it was $500 down, and it was $290 a month.
Right. So we had gotten to the point where the business was paying for itself, but we were still kind of like scrambling.
Yeah. And I remember when she came in, matter of fact, she had filed her taxes and decided to stop going to junior college and become a barber, which she actually got a license. But when that happened, I was like, okay, I got something here. Yeah. And my confidence just took off. And at that time, I was the owner of Royal Image Barber College, right? Yeah. And everybody, because nobody knew me in the city, and it just started clicking from that point on.
No, that's awesome. Look, I get to experience the story because I was in it, but also from it. And just so y'all know, like some of y'all like, well, how did you go from not supporting him to, y'all in business and doing what you're doing together? I remember, Corey, that, and I tell people all the time, like, I introduced you to Jesus, but you taught me what faith looks like. Yeah. And you taught me what faith looks like. I hope I don't cry. Really with your tenacity, with saying, no, this is going to work. And you had that Martin Luther King quote up in the barber college. Like sometimes you don't see the whole staircase. You just got to take the first step.
Yeah.
And I remember one day being there because I would go with you all the time, even though I wasn't it's not that I wasn't a supporter, but I always wanted to cap you, right? I always wanted to be like, okay, let's do what's safe. And I remember being there one day, and the Lord was working on my heart just in general. I was that's when I read the book, Who Will Cry When You Die? Mm-hmm. And I decided when I read that book, I remember reading that book, like, you know what? I'm not gonna be negative no more.
Right.
A lot of what comes out of my mouth, I always believe the words, not just about you, just about anybody. I literally, y'all, made a decision in my life. Like, I'm going to be positive from today. And I was. And I remember being at that barber college, sitting there with you. And I was like, look, this train is moving.
Yeah.
You know, so either I can support it or I can get off at the next stop. And by starting to support it and to be a player with you in the business, God has just opened up doors for us immensely. And by you doing that thing scared, that was a catalyst for us to do other things scared, right? Move to Texas, me to get my real estate license, even us going, you know, that first time we went live to do some eagle talking. And now we get to do what we get to do now. So, all right. So what do you say to the person? And y'all, Corey and I have something that we just want to share because we understand that, you know, there's somebody on the other end that's like, well, I don't have a mentor and I don't know who to even talk to or go through. We are going to offer a masterclass for y'all coming up soon. But what would you say to that person who is really scared about this recession and just don't really know like what's going to happen to them and their family?
It doesn't matter. I don't think the recession matters because if you study a recession, the biggest wins come in the recession.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's where the opportunity is. Most people won't tell you that, by the way, because you're trained to watch the news and just stress out about it every single day.
Yeah.
But the opportunity, look at housing prices, right? Look at stock prices. Like everything is cheap. The America is on sale right now, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
And out of that recession, because I want to end on this, because we haven't told what happened with the school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What has happened is it's very successful, and not only is it successful, but we've had well over 1,000 graduates. We've had multiple people go and open shops. We've had 3 or 4 students go open schools. When we got here in 2014, I partnered with the man, Larry Roberts, who is the best partner in the business that I can ever think of partnering with. We have 4 barber colleges in Illinois right now. We have 1 in the Will County jail system. And check this out. 2 things. We bought the building in February of last year, and he developed Astro Kicks, which is like a barber shoe because we're on our feet all day. Yeah. So we got an executive deal with a company, developed a really, really dope shoe. I think the release is in a couple of weeks. A lot has been birthed
out of that decision not to bury yourself.
Yeah. Now, in full disclosure, that's the part I like to talk about. Yeah. The first part that we started.
Corey, I was like, I feel hard times when I got a barber college.
Well, it's painful, right? Because it was so many times that I doubted myself. Yeah. Right. And I'm talking about like when I wasn't in school, I remember calling in the middle of a snowstorm on the expressway and I got a flat. Yeah. And I called my mentor like, man, I'm over this. I'm sitting there. What am I going out here for anyway? I'm sitting out here by myself. Nobody's coming in here, right? But he wouldn't allow me to quit. Yeah. So again, why I don't like telling that part of the story, even though it needs to be told, is because it's very, very vulnerable moments. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of what's happened in their lives was contingent on your obedience. And that's great.
Yeah, it was.
So y'all, Corey and I are so excited because we've learned a lot of lessons through not only the recession last time, but just through life, right? And there are a lot of things that we wish we knew then that we know now. And we want to be that resource, that help for you. So we are having a masterclass and it's called
Recession Proof Your Life.
Recession Proof Your Life, because business is one component. And when we when we think about our lives, we think about them in 5 different components. So what we're going to do is invite you to register. We're going to put the link in the show notes, the link in the description box if you're watching on YouTube, but it's eagletalkpodcast.com/masterclass. It's going to be on January 5th. in the evening. And we are just really going to give you some tools, strategy, and just some things to help you go into 2023 and beyond, where you are not stressed out or worried about a recession for your business, for your kids, for all these other things, because you are going to come away with the tools to literally recession proof your life.
Yeah. We want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. And honestly, it's uncomfortable for me to talk about. I mean, I'm happy with the.
I thank you for being, because we had a conversation before. I'm like, listen, if we're gonna tell it. Yeah. If we're gonna tell it, we're gonna tell it.
Yeah. When we told it,
we done told it.
I'm definitely happy with the end result and how everything is going. But sometimes you got to go through that pain. You got to have those lessons, and when you come on the other side of it, you'll be grateful that you stayed the course.
Yes, yeah. So we're grateful for you. Go ahead and register for the masterclass, and while you're at it, invite a friend, share this episode, hit that share button, give us a 5-star review, and we will see you next week when we talk about an amazing who in our business and the who's you need in yours.
We'll see y'all next time.
See you soon.